let's talk about kind of like your shyness. Like, so you feel like you've always been kind of a shy person?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's always been hard for me to like communicate with people. Like those people who are like just approach people. I was just mm-mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hesitant, like how does you just like anxious? Like how do you
Yeah.
feel?
Yeah. Like I feel anxious. I'm like overthinking, like, okay, just say hi. Just say hi. Just like open your mouth, bitch. Like
Like
it's
practicing like what you're saying in your head before you actually say it.
yeah. And I'm like sweating and I just end up just cowering away and not doing it until somebody approaches me. Then I'll open up. But yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember you. I don't know. It's hard to even like remember so far back, you
Mm-hmm.
know? But yeah, we used to be like really, really good friends and our group was super fun. I had a point that I was going with this, but I totally forgot. Oh, kind of like when did it start? Do you think like when you were a kid? Do you think oh my God, I had such a good question too and I freaking forgot it. But yeah,
Okay.
it'll come back to me.
I do I do think it started when I was a kid. Um
Hmm.
Yeah, the first time I had any sort of like sexual trauma was when I was 7, and I think that's what really kind of kicked it off as far as mental health and shyness. Yeah, so I think that was like the
Do you want to talk about that or
yeah, that's
the
fine.
trauma?
Yeah, that's fine. It was a boy. Um,
Hmm.
I don't even remember. It's crazy. I don't even remember what he looks like now because it like
Your mind is protecting you.
yeah, like there
Yeah.
are so many years of my life that I just do not remember whatsoever.
Me
Um,
too. I was talking to my boyfriend about that because he has like uh one of the most interesting stories that I have ever heard in my life, very much so. And there's that happens to him. There's like things you just like you can't remember, and that happens to me too. I just can't remember at all.
yeah, and like when I feel like guilty about it because like my family they're like, oh, don't you remember da 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 da? Da?" And I'm like, no,
No, there's a
not at all.
reason.
Yeah, and I also think that's why I dated a guy like damn near 10 years older than me because like
Oh
that
yeah.
first thing and I was 7, I think he was 14 or 15. So
Hmm.
when like things happened to me, so
Oh wow, he was like a teen, so he knew what he was doing.
yeah, and I try to look back and be like, "Oh, well, like but it just I don't know. It just doesn't work trying to sympathize.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. You like want to see the best in that situation, but it's like there's really he's coughing. Wait, I'll tell you something. He's coughing. I had my coworker was like, yeah, there's this guy, like something in the background, like yelling. I'm like, yeah, my boyfriend's playing video games. But he makes music, so he knows he knows he has to be quiet. You okay? But yeah, it's hard because you want to look back and like kind of learn a lesson and like make the best of it, but it's like such a shitty thing that happened that it is truly like a shitty thing, and you kind of have to just chalk it up to this is a shit thing, and that's
Yeah. Yeah,
really
and
it.
there's nothing I can do about it. I don't think that I'm trying to think. I think I've only told like my ex-girlfriend that
Mhm.
story. Well, aside from you now.
Well, in the world. Hello, world. Here's
This
my trauma.
trauma.
No, it's gonna help a lot of people. Like as after talk grows, I know it's gonna help a lot of people because even like my coworker, she was like, I you made me think, like you really like made me think hard. And now she's like gonna make a decision on something in her life, like she's gonna decide to be single instead of kind of being with somebody just because they're a good person.
Yeah.
That's very traumatic for the person who's a good person because it makes them not want to be a good person. Like you have to really think. Mm.
Yeah, I'm glad this platform is giving people
Something.
inspiration.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, I know I'm excited. But we'll see. Anyways, back to what you were saying, not to get off track. So kind of, so you were 7 and he was 15, and he obviously did something to you. Can you kind of like talk about that and like, so how did you know him? Like, did you know him, or was he like a friend of a family, or because usually that's kind of what happens.
Yeah, I knew him, and I remember that I don't want to say I liked him, but I'll just say that he was cute. That I don't remember what he looks like, but I remember
Mhm,
thinking that he was cute, and I think that he knew that I thought that because I think other girls had thought that, so it's kind of, one of those.
mhm,
Um and I remember we were in like the back of a church van, and like he put like his hand up my like skirt or my dress,
mhm.
and I just did not. I remember like trauma laughing, like so uncomfortable. Yeah, and I just,
I do that when I'm uncomfortable. I laugh like really awkwardly, and
yeah.
yeah,
And yeah, I
and
think
then
that kind of changed everything for me, and I just kind of started growing into this shell of myself, and I think it got worse when like I moved away from you all, because like I didn't have that like
um,
safety and friendship. I was by myself basically.
we were like we were really close, and I think that for me, I have a really hard time like with friends now, like any relationship. Not just because of that, but for a lot of other things. But definitely I can like pinpoint. I'm like, yeah, this is where it started. This is where this, kind of like what you're talking about. So yeah, that must have been really hard. Do you have like a hard time with friendships now too? Like, do you have any kind of
I don't have any friends now. I think that, after that, and then obviously his dad, like I just felt like I could not trust anyone, because
Mhm.
I felt like the people who were around me who I was supposed to trust, because there were sexual things that happened with people who I was even closer to,
Oh
and
wow.
were also men, and that or like figures of authority who I was supposed to trust.
Your
Um,
caretakers, yeah.
yeah. And I making friends, that means I have to invest in trust, and I just don't want to risk it.
Yeah. Wow, you are in like we don't have like exactly the same experience, but like in the mindset that you're in right now, like you are definitely, I was definitely in that. Like when I was in my last relationship, I was like, if I just stay in my bubble, like I'll be safe. And because like when you get out of my bubble, I get really anxious and nervous, and then like I hate how I feel.
Mhm.
But I like forced myself to get over it because I think what pushed me so much to want to get over it in the first place is like when I get married, I'm like, who am I gonna invite to my wedding? My wedding if I don't have friends? Like, is that gonna be lame? I don't want to be like that. So that kind of made me start thinking like, wow, I really need to, for me, I really want to, not need to, but I want to like invest in these relationships and like reach out to people and just kind of take the time and effort to build them. But it is scary because like now I feel like I have more of like a screening process for my friends. So I don't want to use the word test because I hate that. Like one of our friends used to put me through friend tests. She called them friend tests, and she thought that she was so clever and whatever, but she was really just fucking with me, you know.
Actually,
Yeah, she was very like and controlling of me, like told me what to do, told me like everything, and just like, and then like if I diverted from her little plan, she'd get so mad at me and she wouldn't talk to me and she'd like ice me out and shit. And so like that really like fucked with me because I was like, I trust you, like you're like my sister, like you're my family. And then you're like not talking to me and I don't know why. And then I'm like, did I do something wrong? That's where like a lot of my anxiety in my head, I can definitely see that's where like a lot of that came from. But now I am trying to be like, well, if someone doesn't tell me they're mad, then I'm just gonna assume they're not mad. Like try to just not like think too much into things. So
I'm that way. Like if I feel any energy change, I'm like, oh my God, what did I do?
That's
What did I
that's specifically I was that's specifically the thing with trauma. I'm sure you know that. Like people who have been traumatized, like they will seek out the person who might cause harm in like a group of people so that excuse me, so that they know they can it's like control. It's like kind of like it's like an anxiety thing, like you're like controlling. Like I think I talk about this in one of my episodes, how I'm do you think are you a people pleaser?
Yeah, I'm the
Yeah,
caregiver. Yeah,
me
even if you
too.
don't get back, I'm like, that's
Me too.
okay.
Oh, it's because of this, it's because of that. Oh, I understand.
I can heal them.
Yeah. You're like a yeah, that's interesting. I feel like a lot of women are raised to be more of a caretaker,
Mhm.
especially like so do you have I know you have an older brother, right? Or younger brother?
Yeah, he's older.
An older brother. Do
Yeah.
you have any other siblings?
Yeah, I have another older brother. But I mean I don't talk to either one of them.
Oh yeah. It's more of like I'm the eldest, so like I helped take care of my brother a lot.
Mhm.
So that's kind of where like the knee jerk thing is like I'm automatically like, oh, you need something to do. And so yeah. So the whole point of this is like now I'm like doing what I want. I'm really trying to put myself first, but in like a healthy way. And
Mhm.
it's very hard.
Yeah, saying no is the hardest thing for me. Ugh.
Even when you like I was really proud of myself. Like I love my friend. But I really didn't want to hang out, you know. So, but I would have hung out with her because she wanted to hang out with me, and not because like I wanted to, just to make her happy, you know. So it's like even at your own expense, you know. Do you do that too?
Even if I'm drowning, if I can make you feel better by giving you my life jacket, then
Yeah, you get more like satisfaction in like satisfying others than like satisfying yourself,
yeah.
you
I
know.
can't even yeah, I can't even think of like I do like self-care videos, but that's not shit. It's just like for fucking YouTube. Like it doesn't give
Yeah.
me shit. I don't think I've ever really delved into myself to try to make myself happy.
Yeah, and so then there it is. That's the thing that like both of us need to work on, you know, like people like us. It's because we really need to find satisfaction within ourselves. Like when I look at myself, like, and it's hard, like because you have to like fake it kind
Mhm.
of, but you have to be able, like my therapist says, well, you don't have to believe it 100%, right? You can believe it even like 1%, but if you practice, then eventually you'll like actually believe it's like fake it till you make it,
Yeah.
you know, like so stay there, like tell yourself, oh, I'm beautiful, oh, it doesn't matter, like just doing things that make you uncomfortable and then getting comfortable with them. So but yeah, it's hard to find it within, but as long as you practice you'll get it and everything will be okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. She's like, I'm gonna need therapy after this is therapy pretty much. Hi, welcome, I'm the psychologist now. No, just
That's
kidding.
what it feels like. It feels like a therapy session.
Well, yeah, yeah, we'll talk about because we can talk about like we kind of talked about dating and stuff, but your stuff is a lot more serious and so kind of just to circle back, so after that like very traumatic thing, like did you tell anybody what happened to you when you were younger?
Mm-mm.
You
No.
never said nothing. Mhm.
Yeah, like my parents, they were going through their own stressful thing, and I in that situation, I know that they would have believed me, but like I didn't want to add to their stress. And then, it happened again a few years
Oh,
later, but
with the same person?
with a relative.
Oh, oh,
Um and
I'm so sorry.
in in that again, they were around like the same, they were young as well, but in that situation, I felt like they would not believe me. So I didn't say anything.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
really, really tough. Really tough. So you don't talk to your mom often, or no, you said you have a good relationship. Are you trying to build one
Yeah,
now?
we're trying. We it's like every like year or every couple years we go through like a down thing and then we'll go back up. Right now we're kind of down because like when I moved to Wisconsin, like
Mhm.
her and my dad, they had split up and they were together for like over 20 years and shit like that.
Mhm.
So, she was dating.
Wow.
Yeah, she was dating and doing her own thing, which I'm all here for. But, my relationship with the girl the first time was like really toxic. And I'm like, I just need to get you on the phone for 10 minutes. Like, and I could never, I would call, she wouldn't answer, text, she wouldn't
Um,
answer. And it was just like,
like when you like really needed her, she just wasn't there for you.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
tried very hard to not be like, because I'm not one of those who ask my parents for things.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, not that I can't. I don't know. I don't like asking people for things because I don't want to feel like they're gonna
I
dog.
feel I feel really awkward. I'm like, can I have $5? I'm like, I don't even like asking my boyfriend for money. I'm like, I don't have any money. He's like, I'll give you money. I'm like,
It's okay.
I'll be poor. It's okay. Yeah. But so I'm trying like to just be grateful and accept the help. It's like it's hard to accept help
Yeah.
kind of thing too. But anyways, but yeah, that's good. I'm glad that you're like building your relationships and stuff, and it is hard. I feel like a lot of the time too, people are like, I want to have a relationship with you, but I only want to have it when you're happy. Like they don't want to be there for you like when you really, really need them. That's kind of what I was getting from what you were saying.
Yeah, that's kind of, if I'm being very honest, that's kind of where I am at with my partner right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you know, she's and I've told her this, um, and we're kind of on a break right now, but I told her, like, when I'm venting about work or about Elijah or something like that, she's fine. But like when I have a problem internally or like with between her and I, like in our relationship, she doesn't want to hear it. And
Wow.
yeah, she will tell me she doesn't want to hear it. And I'm just
Oh,
so yeah, I got fed up with it and I'm like, I cannot.
rightfully so.
Yeah, and I'm like, you either, I don't know what the fuck your problem is, but
Mm-hmm.
you need to get some help before
Yeah.
yeah, before we do anything else. So
Yeah. And it's like, I'm, it's supposed to be a safe space for you to be yourself. And and it's already probably hard enough for you to just like bring it up and talk about it in general. And then because you feel like the person might judge you or like you just have anxiety about it. And so when someone's not being receptive, it's yeah, that could be like very difficult. And then it kind of make you like not want to even talk about it at all, or make you feel like you're crazy.
yeah, I knew that I needed a break from her when it got to the point where I had to ask her, can I talk about X, Y, and Z? Are
Mm.
you sure I can talk about X, Y, and Z without you getting
Um,
upset? Like I
yeah.
would have to do like a pre-screening and
Wow.
I couldn't even, yeah, I can't even be my full self. I can't even like, not saying that
Hmm.
arguing is healthy, but I can't even argue with you because like you don't want to hear anything I have to say. And even when you're wrong, like, and that just really boggles my,
Ugh.
yeah.
Like they have a hard time admitting when they're in the wrong. They have to always be right.
Yeah.
Um,
Or they'll be like, okay, sorry. Like, and I'm like, no, no, no. Like, no, we got to talk about it. Like, I don't want to hear,
like, why are you sorry?
yeah,
How are we not going to do this again?
yeah,
Not just let's let it go and like pretend we're happy.
yeah. And I'm like, I'm not faking being happy is just so exhausting.
It literally makes you tired, like physically tired, because you're sad and like upset, and it's not because you're like you sounds like you have a lot of reasons to be like justifying your feelings too.
Yeah. And I
Yeah.
will tell them, if I'm overreacting, because I'm not going to sit here like I'm perfect. If I'm overreacting, then tell
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
But were situations where it's like, if I was doing it to you, you would be angry. But since you're doing it to me, I basically shut up
It's
and
okay.
yeah, and it's fine and it's not that big of a deal. And
Mhm. It's called what's the thing? It's like rules for thee, but not for me.
hmm
Everyone follow else house of all the rules, but I can do whatever I want.
yeah.
Yeah. Kind of sounds narcissistic to me.
Yeah, it's showing some tendencies, but it's only that.
Or selfish, I guess.
Yeah, it's only that aspect. In other ways, like she's great, but then it's like that one thing.
Mhm.
It's so important to me because I never had that safety in having an emotional outlet. So you're supposed to be that. You're supposed
100%.
to be that.
Yeah. Yeah. That sucks. I'm sorry you're going through that because, but it sounds like, I mean, I don't really feel like you're somebody, I've never heard you like yell or anything. Even growing up, I don't think you ever like yelled at people. And so you're very calm. So I'm imagining the way you would communicate with your partner. And I feel like you would sit them down and like talk to them very calmly and like, and then
Yeah.
if they're like not being receptive at all or it's like invalidating your feelings. It's like gaslighting you almost,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it's like there are moments where I'm like, okay, you're getting loud. And I know when somebody feels like they're being attacked or being yelled at, they shut
Yeah.
down. So I'm like, okay. And I'll tell them out loud, let me calm down. Let me calm down. Okay. Boom, boom, boom. This is when I'm
Uh-huh.
upset. And then they still are just like, whatever. And I'm like, like
Mhm.
screaming inside.
Yeah, and it's kind of goes back to what we were talking about before, like how you've been in a relationship for so long that there's a certain point where you probably are like, boom, this is when I stopped caring so much. And then it like just it just like kind of goes downhill and then you are where you are. You know, you're like, okay, well, this is not going to work out or it is going to work out, you know. So relationships do take a lot of effort. I think that if the person really cares about you, they'll like really reflect and they'll show you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And
Let's see. So what are like some lessons you've learned in your life? Like what's some advice you would give to like little you?
little
Give
me.
her a hug first thing first.
Yeah, I probably would and be like, I don't know, I would tell myself to be more outgoing and
Mhm.
I would very much encourage myself that, you know what, even if people hurt you, it's okay to go into the relationships with any relationships with an open mind
Mhm.
because as long as you have positive intentions,
Mm.
it'll all loop back around for you.
Facts. Facts. Yeah. You seem like you're like really good at communicating too.
I'm trying. I'm
Yeah.
trying
And
to.
you're very like calm, you know?
Yeah.
I think
Um.
that's really good. A lot of people are not calm.
Yeah. I have my moments. I'm not going to lie.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
but like, some people are like, you can kind of, they're like, "Ugh." I guess, how am I saying this? Like, just like the way you talk, like you're calm, and I feel like you like think about what you're saying when you say it, is what I'm saying. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt like I had to grow to be that way. Like when I was in the relationship with a girl the first time, it was my first girlfriend, and then I
Hmm.
to a whole different state with just me and myself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have any friends, any family.
Was that the first girl you like hooked up with?
Yeah,
Oh,
she was the
wow.
first. Yeah, I'd never kissed a girl before that or anything,
Hmm.
and before the guy, I'd never kissed a guy. So he was my first everything,
Oh,
and then
you
she
might
was
be
my
like, you might be like me. I've only kissed three people in my life, and Lamar's the third one.
Have I had a lot of partners? No. I've only me like
Hmm.
I've had people like go down on me, just two people,
Hmm.
um, but two other people. But as far as me engaging with sex with them back, it's only been three people: the guy, first girlfriend, and then the one right now.
We'll make a club. It'll be called the People of Three.
Yeah.
Does that does that bother you not having a lot of partners? Because like honestly, I'm like fine. Like people are like that. People think I'm weird. I'm like, I don't know. I just don't think it's a big deal. Like I'm just like
Yeah,
I'm not like always thinking about sex all the time. Like
I think it used to bother me because people would be like, that's it? Oh, you're such a prude. And I'm like, no, I just don't want to spread myself so thin and have like emotional ties to like
Yeah.
10 different people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I, and it takes a lot for me to sleep with someone.
Probably, well, given like your history too, that makes sense, you know. I haven't had a lot of sexual trauma, but I have a lot of like issues with relationships and stuff. And so for me, I think now it's like to get me going, I need you to like be in my mind, you know.
Yes.
I need like, yeah, I need you. I'm like, wow, you're so smart. Like that gets me going more than like the physical aspect of it, I guess, too.
Yeah. You can look cute. You can be nice
Hmm.
body, but like if we're not here, and with the guy, he was like a fucking idiot, and he was my first, and I was afraid to leave.
Yeah.
But with the girls, at least they were like, or else the other two, they were just okay. We can have a conversation, and it's like, oh my god, back and forth conversation, and you're
Mhm.
smart.
She's like, take me away.
Yeah.
Take me out.
Intelligence, I feel like, is kind of on the rare side now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
I
think
feel like a
so.
lot of people just talk and they don't really even, there's no substance behind it. They're just talking just to be talking. But somebody who's passionate about something or has their,
Hmm.
even if we don't agree on the subject, but they can actually back up what they're saying and
Yeah.
tell me your trauma, tell me your history. I want to know. Like, yeah, that gets me going.
Yeah.
Not trauma gets me going.
No, 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 no. I know what you're saying. Like the communication, knowing that you can like talk to somebody and feel comfortable with them and talking about certain things with them and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah, that's really important. Yeah, I mean, that's my my favorite thing. Just like having the best friend aspect of it. I think too. That's kind of like, your friends often know more about you than like anybody, and sometimes even in the relationship, they're a little bit more. It's like it feels like a little bit easier maybe to sometimes open up to a friend rather than like your partner or on
Yeah.
certain topics too. Then once you do that, then you feel comfortable and you can like talk to your partner about it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's nice. So any other lessons you've learned?
Maybe.
What about what's it like? What about being like a young mom? So like, do you like give me your vibe and your experience on that?
Uh, man, being a young mom is hard,
Mm-hmm.
especially because, he's going through his own journey, in terms of his like cognitive health and things like that. So, I'm trying to do everything I can to make sure that he's successful in his adult life and even in his
Yeah.
now. Um, but overall, with being a young mom, I think if I were to jump back few years, I would tell myself to make friends.
Yeah.
Is having that
Community.
yeah, you really do need that. Like even if it's just one person and you're
Hmm.
like, oh my gosh, like I just want to talk to my friend for 20 minutes, like just to have that
You should talk to Courtney. You should reach out to her.
yeah. I was thinking about it after and I was like,
You
does she
guys like, huh?
I was like, does she remember me? I was gonna reach out.
Yeah. I told her, I was thinking about having well, is do you just go by Mel now? It says
Yeah.
she, okay. I was thinking about talking to Mel and she was like, yeah, she should have her own podcast. And so yeah, I mean, we're I'm like, I know what you mean. It can be a little anxious, like reaching out. But I mean, it's kind of like what I did. I was just like, hey, how's it going? I mean, like, if you want to talk, you talk, or you don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I was like, it's been like 15, not 15 years. It's been like 10 years. And so I was like,
yeah.
I don't know, but I
Yeah.
will.
Yeah, reach out to her. I mean, she has 3 kids. She's very smart. She's got her shit together. Not saying that you don't, but I'm just telling you about her. But yeah, and I did an episode with her. I don't know if you watched or listened to
Yeah,
that
watch it
one.
all. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you watched all of them? Thank you. You like it so far?
Yeah, I
I mean,
do. I
to
like that
comment.
she's very honest.
Thank you.
I feel like with a lot of podcasts now, they are not to
Fluff.
diss them. They're just very. I'm gonna tell you just enough, and you're like, fuck that, I'm gonna tell you what the fuck I want to tell you.
Yeah, exactly.
So
And yeah, and that's like kind of also why I think when the podcast gets bigger, when that happens, I really don't want to be like, I don't know if you've ever watched Call Her Daddy.
have I? It sounds familiar.
It's like her name's Alexandra Cooper. She used to just talk about like sex and stuff like that, but now all she does is like interview celebrities. And it's very much so like her talking about it's hard because I don't want to. You want your chopstick? I don't know. Yeah, this is headphones on. But anyways, um, it's very much like she talks about mental health with the celebrities, which is a good thing, right? You're rich, okay? Like I think that's a thing for me. It's like the classism and like the money and like the different classes. It's like, no, dude, like this shit is hard. Like it's hard. Like you go into so much debt. What? So you maybe can get a degree and be successful. But no, like these people, like, yeah, I know they have like struggles and stuff, but I feel like recording it along the way and like just like being honest and keeping it real and just be like, yeah, guys, like I got a tattoo with my boyfriend. Could this fuck me over in 10 years? Probably. I don't know, but hopefully it won't. you know?
Hopefully
So
not.
hopefully not. I'm having good vibes right now. But you know what I mean? It's just like a normal person, I guess, experience.
Yeah, when I and this is gonna sound messed up, but like with celebrities, it's really hard for me to connect with them
Yeah.
because, like you said, you have money, you have all these resources. Like, I get it. Me and a famous person can both be young moms, but like you have nannies and somebody who could cook and clean after you. And
Yeah. It's very much like detached. And then it makes me like cringe when they like try to relate to me. It's just like
just don't.
I feel like you're trying too hard and you're just trying to do what people want you to do rather than like being like actually like, yeah, I have like when if I ever have a lot, I'm like, yeah, I have a lot of money. Like I just fucking just say how it is, you know what I mean? I don't like that shit. Just like be honest.
Yeah, and I feel like nowadays mental health is pretty much a nice hot topic for people to talk about,
Hmm.
even if they cannot truly relate. But as long as they can talk about it and they can get that sector of people in to try to make them all like mushy and
Yeah.
they can relate to me. Oh, they're talking about depression. Like it just
Yeah,
doesn't.
but like, have you literally ever, like, I haven't been homeless, but like, I know people, like, have you ever been homeless? Has your mom lost her memory and forgotten who she was? Have you, like, you and your experiences, like, you've been traumatized since you were 7, all because of one person, you know? Like, it's like, no, not really. And I feel like and it's sad to say, but those are more common situations than people make aware. And like you're saying, like, people are like, yeah, I was depressed once, but no, like, during your depression, like, what happened? Like, why were you depressed? Like, was your mom going crazy? Like, you know what I mean? So that's why I really want to make sure that I'm always like being grounded and like talking to people like you and talking to my friends and like because everyone has a different story and a lot of people have different struggles and it's just like it's easier to connect with all in all, you know.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm glad you like it.
I do. And with the celebrities, it's like when I'm depressed, I can't just hop on a jet and go to Cabo. Like
Hmm.
I can't just
Yeah.
leave Elijah with the nanny and be like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And then he also has like a lot more because having a kid is, excuse me, it's a lot. And then adding things that you need to implement in his life so he can be more successful as well it's more
Yeah.
it's a lot more than like the average person. It's probably like I guess maybe comparing it, I don't know, would you think maybe it's like having 2 kids kind of like the stress and like the struggle is like
Maybe. Because it's like, okay, appointments here, school here, and then
yeah
it's like now I'm trying to get him to build his like social awareness because he's so nice. You see, he just ran over to the camera. He has no idea who you are, and
yeah
he's so nice. And I'm like, I need you to learn stranger danger. Like, and I
yeah
I need him to learn like good touch and bad touch, like so he doesn't go through those things that I went through and things
Right.
like that. And
Yeah, that's why I really like I'm trying so hard to like work on myself and be like, because I in my mind I like envision myself as this like successful businesswoman who's like strong and who can like go into a room and communicate effectively the first time rather than having to like backtrack and explain myself all the time or like, just like I really am trying so hard to work towards this person. And I want to be like the last ending. Like when I have children, I want them to I want it to stop, the trauma to stop, like I'm the wall. And my kids will be like not perfect, but just good members of society.
yeah,
you know.
I want to break the cycle of trauma.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's nothing wrong with that too. I think that's awesome. That's kind of what Courtney and I were talking about too, but let's see. Yeah, you should definitely reach out to her because you guys have a lot in common. And she's so nice. I just call her, like I just like, hey, how you doing? What's up? You know. But I like doing a podcast because it helps me like get to know people, like my friends and stuff. And it's hard for I'm somebody who just is like no. I say no a lot right away, but I really need to like the movie Yes Men or Yes Man with Jim Carrey. Like I need to be like that. Sure, let's do this. Sure, let's do that. I'm
Yeah.
like, no. And then I'm like, oh, okay. No, oh, okay. You know. But yeah, so would you so it's interesting to me because like you planned Elijah. So you are like, yes, I'm going to be a mom. And I think that's really interesting. So did the guy you were with, his uh did he like kind of encourage you to have a baby? Or were you like like why did you decide to have a baby, I guess? That's the
Right.
question.
So he he really wanted one. We were engaged at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that also aided into it. So I was like,
We're gonna get
okay,
married.
like he's better. It was one of those like you were talking about those
Oh,
like
he's so weak. He's so weak. He's so
every
weak.
3 months
Oh my
he's
gosh,
really
just like him.
great.
Yeah.
Inside.
Yeah, and
He has
then
no shield.
he was like, I want a baby, I want a son, I want a family. Like
Mm-hmm.
we're engaged now, like I'm different. And I was like, yeah, I believe you. And I was like 19 or 20 or something. And then yeah, we we did the do.
Yeah.
And I had a son, literally. So it
Mm-hmm.
like we literally spoke that into existence. Um yeah, so he was very very much planned. So it's weird looking back that I'm like 20, 19, 20, planning a child.
Yeah.
And I'm
When you're
still,
so young,
yeah,
when you're a child. Yeah.
yeah.
So would recommend or would not recommend?
Oh, absolutely not. I was telling my partner yesterday, I was like, if I could go back, and I could still have Elijah, even exactly how he is, but if I could have him when I'm like 25 or 30,
Mm-hmm.
okay, because at
Yeah.
least I'll be established. Like as soon after he was born, I went back to school like 2 weeks later. Like have,
Wow.
I didn't have any downtime. I didn't have anything. I went back to work in the school. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
I would I would wait. I will tell Elijah, just just wait, please.
Enjoy your life.
Yeah, enjoy it. Like I I'm not saying kids are a hindrance, but it is hard when you have to like go get a babysitter and then
And
they
financially too.
yeah, get a babysitter. If they're sick, now you have to stay home from work and then of course that takes away from your
Mm.
finances. So and I'm not married yet, so it's not like I have two incomes and things like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would very much encourage him to wait.
Mhm.
Um, wait, be smart, pick a great partner, pick a great partner to have a child with.
Yeah, I think what happens a lot is we're so young, right? And I watch so many movies, so many rom-coms, like too much. I think a lot of young girls kind of fantasize and pick a guy who just like is obviously not good. And then and then just end up being in the relationship for a long time or just get pregnant or something. And it's like, it's hard. It's there's more out there. And it's hard to be in a relationship, especially when it's your first one, because you like kind of, I know for me, like I really wanted to have like the fantasy of being with like somebody I met in high school, like kind of like a high school sweetheart.
Yeah.
Like that's something that I,
First to be my last. Yeah.
yeah, but it's just not the case.
Yeah.
It's good to have experiences, definitely. So would you, we kind of have like a similar story, I think, like where we took care of somebody for a really long time. And then now I really feel like you're going to go through this transition where you're going to open up and kind of just push yourself and maybe like find those friends and have those relationships and stuff. Cause like that's kind of what you're kind of like where I was like a couple months ago. I know I said that earlier, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. What do you think?
I think so. Like I still want to move to Texas, and I'm really excited for that because I'm like, okay, it, Texas, depending on the area,
Yeah, near the city.
yeah, they have their own things, but um, it's gonna be, more sun. It's always snowy here, so
Oh yeah.
snowy or gloomy, so that takes away from the mood.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have like a better positive mood, and I'll be a part of different communities. So I'm really excited, and I do, like I said, I'm in HR right now. I can't wait to. I'm looking for jobs where I can sway back into that counseling,
Mm-hmm.
case management type of thing. So because that was the first time I actually really, even though it was hard, I actually enjoyed what I was doing.
Oh
Yeah, corporate. Mm-mm.
yeah. It's not as like flexible
Yeah,
too. You can't really be yourself. And I think that's so dumb, but I think they do it because like if everyone acts the same way, like it reduces conflict. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Because everyone's different and a lot of people like I'm not gonna get along with everybody. And I know that. So like it'd be hard to work with somebody like who didn't like you because they didn't like your personality or something. That'd be really hard. So, I think that's the way they do that. But yeah, being a parent, I don't want to be a parent for a long time
yeah.
because I've been taking care of people for so long. So, but I think that that'll be really good. And it's not too expensive down there too. You could probably buy a house.
Yeah, I really want to buy. I really want to buy a nice townhome or something. I was looking at houses and
Yeah,
I was like,
condos.
yeah, I was like, man, like the upkeep of a house. I don't know if I'm ready for
Mm-mm.
that, but I want to baby steps to that.
Yeah. Buy a condo and then pay it off and then you can buy something else and rent it out.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
I want
Do
to do
that.
that.
That'd be really, really good. That's what I want to do, but shit's so expensive.
Girl,
It's
no.
300. Yeah, it's 300,000 for a condo. It's the price of a regular house. Yeah.
Washington will make you spend $1 million on a shack. Like,
Yeah, I know. It's just crazy. Okie dokie. Let's see. I think we're almost done. So let's see. When did you? So you have you ever been like clinically diagnosed with anything?
yeah. So after my breakup with the girl, the first
Hmm.
girl, it was so isolating and such a traumatic experience for the both of us. I'm not just gonna include myself because I'm able
Yeah.
to reflect now. Um, yeah. Ooh.
Claps to you. I'm clapping. You can't see me.
But um they did diagnose me with bipolar depression, but like I don't think that
Oh,
I had that. I don't. I think I was just so emotional during that time because once I was over it, then I didn't act that way anymore. Like I'm not that way anymore. So
yeah.
I don't think that I am bipolar. I don't. I was just like depressed and angry and sad and
Yeah.
all these things and yeah.
Do they just diagnose women as bipolar? I don't understand.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
Because like that's what they said to me. I was like bipolar and schizophrenic. I'm like, I'm not schizophrenic. What are you talking about? Like, no.
Dream diagnosis, schizophrenia.
Hmm?
I said schizophrenia is a very strong diagnosis.
Yeah. And yeah. So that like had me like shook because a test told me. But I was talking to my therapist about it. And maybe this will also help you as well. And people listening is like, if you have to take the history into account. You can't just go take a test and be like, this is what you are. Because like you said, it doesn't make sense, but it's like your history, like, yeah, it makes sense. You have all of these conflicting things and like anxieties and stuff because of what you've been through. So I know for me, like my therapist was like, no, you're not bipolar, but like what you've been through, yeah, your test scores would say that you are bipolar or whatever, or you're on mute. So weak, come on. There you go. Oh, okay, sorry. I see. But sometimes I accidentally hit it. But yeah, so taking everything into account, it does make sense like why my test scores would say that I'm bipolar. But just have ADD. So maybe you just have ADD. I don't know. I think everybody does now. So.
Maybe. It's hard for me to sit still. I can't even meditate. Like I do not understand how people meditate, and my mind is just like I watch people like meditate and they have a timer going, and my mind would just be focused on, is the timer about to go off?
Yeah,
Do I
me
have
too.
left or do I have 5 minutes? Like, yeah, I can't.
Mhm. Yeah, I have like well, I'm on medication now, but I had like a void anxiety in my head. So I'd constantly think about things that happened in my past. I have a song in my head and then I have like my voice. So it's like very hard to distinguish between all three of those, like which one do I listen to?
Mhm.
So but yeah. So so you went there, you took a test, right? Did they no problem.
Man, good lord.
We've been going for a while, so I totally understand. So don't even worry about it. Um, so you get diagnosed like you're bipolar, like you're just going through a hard time. So do they offer you medication? Do you take medication?
They gave it to me. And so what happened was we broke up. I moved back to Washington for a few months, got diagnosed here. They
Mhm.
gave me medication, and then I moved back here like 4 months later. And yeah, I
You
took
didn't
medication.
like it?
Yeah, and I stopped taking it. I feel like it made me more sad.
Huh. So yeah, so that just kind of proves that if the meds ain't working, you probably don't have that. But I'm not a psychologist, so I don't know what I'm doing.
People were like, "Oh, well, if it's normal to feel sad for a couple months." I'm like, "Aren't I trying to get over that?" Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I mean, bipolar is such like a everyone is, everyone gets sad, everyone does that, but it's like what happened to make you that way? It's like something happened to you, so it makes sense why you would be sad.
Yeah.
It's not like because you're sad for no reason. That's yeah.
Mm.
Any last lessons? Anything else you want to talk about?
Let's see.
I don't really edit unless you're I kind of like the rawness, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. I'd be like, oh, she's fixing the mic. But I try not to make it like so often. It's like annoying.
I prefer it. I feel like most people do prefer it rather than
Mhm.
everything being just immaculate and well said all the time. And ugh, perfection is unattainable. So,
Yeah, I agree. And I like more like the influencers who, like you said, it's like they give you just enough. And then that's when I feel like you're using it to gain something. Like you're using it to gain followers and stuff. I mean, like I'm not exploiting myself. I'm doing this voluntarily and I'm offering this information voluntarily, but I'm very much so a person like if I say something to you, I'll probably or like if I say something behind your back, I'll say it to your face. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, you said this to me. I'm like, yeah, I did. Or you said this about me. Yeah. So I just always kind of been like that, I think, just very open person.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're not malicious or anything. So
No, yeah,
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 yeah. Maybe I'm trying to think. I guess there to my younger self, I would just say that, I do deserve to feel safe.
yeah.
And if I don't feel safe, the signs are there early
Mhm.
on,
Just
even if
listen
they're
to them.
small,
Mhm.
but don't stay to the point where you feel like you've been robbed of a chunk of your life.
Yeah, it's like listening to yourself. It's
Yeah.
very hard. It's a hard thing to do. I think a lot of people like struggle with that,
Yeah.
because we're not like we're not like taught how to deal with like our feelings, and like when you feel this is like what happy feels like, this is, you know what I mean? Like it's it's very hard for me to like distinguish feel, well, it used to be distinguish like feelings like, oh, I'm happy, like I was just kind of like meh for
Hmm.
a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for being on the podcast, our special guest, our reunion. Am I,
Yeah.
oh, I do have a question. How am I like the same or different from when I was like 5? Like,
You
how do
look
you remember me when I was little? That'll be interesting. We'll give him some tea, some inside scoops.
way curlier hair. Like
Oh,
I
yeah.
remember being big and just like Shirley Temple ringlet. Um, and like I remember Dougie, I remember your mom and your
Mhm.
dad, and like how we would go. I don't know if I can say this, so I'll just we can cut it out. I remember like one time we went into the fridge and like took like it's like a little wine cooler or something.
That's what Courtney was. The mic's hard. That's what Courtney was saying. That we would like like we would take like a like we were like being bad or like a little shot or whatever.
Yeah. And I remember all of us, like, even if I didn't really know them, like, I didn't really know Dylan like that, but he was always with us. And then we would go to where were we? Where were we? What elementary school? Sahali? No, was that middle
Oh
school?
well, just say elementary school.
Yeah, I don't even remember. We would go
Yeah.
there and like be riding bikes or like running and like there's like a basketball
Hmm.
thing like covered and stuff and like yeah.
We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had pretty good like friend group and stuff. I think so. We have. That's what I am. That's kind of what I'm trying to build right now. Like a solid friend group, like with people who are gonna like stick with me and stick with me when I do get upset and when I am sad, or like if I am being like, I try not to be so reactive anymore, because I know when I was younger, I was very just like yell. I had no like layers. I went from 1 to 100. So I'm trying very hard to like, put those steps in and okay, don't assume what people are feeling, like ask them.
Yeah.
So but that's kind of what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to find those people who are like gonna stick with me and like my ride or dies. So I don't want half-ass friends. It's like, what's the point? I'll have no friends.
Yeah. So it's a waste of energy.
Exactly. So for sure. Well, thank you for being on the podcast. I'm sure I'll have you back on again. And we got about an hour and 45 minutes of content. So maybe this might be three videos. Who knows?
Yeah. And